Hello, everybody. Tina Hogan Grant here for my regular Cuppa A Natter, which I do every other Monday. It means a live chat, but being from England, I've got to use my British terms. I like to invite authors on my little chats here. And tonight I have Carol Van Den Hende. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you doing? Happy Monday.
It's 1st of March, too.
It is. Spring is only 3 weeks away. I'm counting the days.
Okay. Before we get started, where are you from? Where do you live?
I am calling in from New Jersey, where I figured we must have gotten about 50 inches of snow this winter. One of the storms gave us 30 inches in one fell swoop.
Oh my God. Is that when you had the freezing temperatures? And did you get broken pipes and no power and everything that I saw in the news?
Luckily, no broken pipes. We had power. My in-laws, though, live in San Antonio, so they had a really rough time with this last storm. No power and then no water for a while. It's just a bit of a mess there.
When was the last time you had a storm like that?
It's really incredible. And they're more and more often, all these weather events. And then my sister-in-law lives in the Santa Cruz Mountains and had to evacuate when the fires came through. So it just seems like tons of natural disasters.
Wow. Yeah, we're in California, but we're up high. We're in a mountain. We're about 5,000 feet elevation, but we don't get storms like you had. We get the snow, but nothing like you had.
I would not wish it on you.
No, I saw it and I felt for everybody back east. I really did. So you're in New Jersey, and can you believe that we're going to put our clocks forward in 2 weeks?
Oh, thank you for telling me.
I know.
I need to jot that down. So I don't show up to my meetings at the wrong time on Monday, 2 weeks from now.
It's only 2 weeks away. I'm like, yay, because it's only 4 months now that we have daylight savings time.
That's amazing.
My husband told me that the other day. I'm like, yes. We have a lot of people joining us. I want to say hi. Click on comments so you can see who's here.
Oh, I do see that. Oh, Karen lived in New Jersey for 8 years. Wow. I'm in Morris County, Karen. Thank you for the flower comment. Nice to see.
I told you that was beautiful. So we have Karen and Darlene. Virgie is here. If you have any questions while I'm chatting with Carol, do leave them in the comments, and I will put them up on the screen. I hope I can get to most of them. And I'm here with Carol Van Den Hende. We're going to talk about her book, Goodbye Orchard. This was your debut novel, wasn't it?
This is my first novel, which has been so exciting. It's truly a dream come true. And you, as a published author, I'm sure can relate to that feeling of, really.
Every time I publish a book, it's like I'm publishing my first book. The feeling does not get old. It really doesn't. And you have a copy to hold up, correct?
I do. This is Goodbye Orchid. And thank you to Karen, because she's commenting that she's been voting on the cover. So Goodbye Orchid right now is part of Author Shout. They have cover wars. 5 books are competing against each other for the right to be the cover of the week. And the voting can happen. Actually, each person can vote every 24 hours between now and Sunday at 8 a.m. So I've already put in my 2 votes. One was yesterday and one today. And really appreciate everyone in your group, Tina, and you personally as well, supporting that and voting. And I can't wait to vote for the reunion.
Yeah, you reminded me to go in and put my vote in. So I would do that for today because I did it yesterday. And after our chat, go into the comments of where we're doing this and drop the link and remind people to go over there and vote every day. How's it doing? Is it still in first place?
It is. It's winning.
Yay! I got my book coming up March 13th for that week. So
excellent.
I'll be hitting you up for votes.
Your book deserves to win a cover award. It's stunning. I love that cover. It's haunting. It's evocative. It makes you want to know what the story is behind that cover.
It's really beautiful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I love my cover designer. She has done most of my covers except for one, and she does a fantastic job. She really does. But let me see your cover again, because I love your cover too. I want to talk about your cover, Goodbye Orchard. The colors just pop. I love the purple. I love the pinks. I love the font. Did you have any input on the cover design?
So I'm quite fortunate that it was a very collaborative process. The cover design, because the publisher I'm with, Kohler Books, is a smaller press, although not teeny, they were really open-minded. And I think they gave me a lot of credit for having a marketing background. And I came to them with a really strong point of view, honestly, with a single-minded brief, which described what I wanted to capture on the cover. That we needed to really get to the heart of the story, which is the physical and emotional shattering between Phoenix Walker and Orchid Page. And so because one of the main characters is named Orchid, it's such a beautiful image to play off of. And then I think it was brilliance to really shatter the orchids to represent that physical and emotional shattering and to create some dynamism, because orchids on their own would be a static image. But when they're shattered, it's like an image in motion. And in fact, we've played on that in multiple ways. We had the designer animate the cover. So I have a GIF in which the orchids actually shatter in an animation.
Right.
And then also the orchids are on the bottom right corner of every page. So when you flip through the book, the
I gotta
orchids.
apologize for my dog. Hold on 1 second.
Okay, no problem.
Ow.
I will. I see all the hellos. Thank you so much for the beautiful cover, Donna, the comment. Thank you for the welcome to the Cuppa. Karen loves the names. Yes, we should talk about the Phoenix and Orchid and why they're named the way they are, because that's not just an accident. And then Virgie's asking, am I an outliner or a pantser? And Ariely wants to know where I find my inspiration. So definitely great questions. I'll start with the outliner or pantser. And I would say that I reserve, no problem, Tina. Everything okay with your dog?
Oh, yeah. I thought I had the doggy door on, and I did not.
Oh, it's okay. No problem. I was actually just checking out the questions, and there's such great questions. So I just got a question from Virgie, whether I'm an outliner or a pantser. And I was going to answer that for Goodbye Orchid, I pantsed Goodbye Orchid. But I reserve the right to not be forever put in one box or another, because I find that part of the creativity of writing, of course, is the imagination around the story, but it's also how you approach your process. How you approach marketing can be an act of creativity as well. So all of that. And so I'm experimenting a bit as I'm writing the second book in the orchid realm with how much I want to outline. And I do have a sense of the beats and the big moments and the ending for certain.
Okay.
And so it is a different process than Goodbye Orchid, in which I felt my way through bit by bit, scene by scene.
That's what I do with mine. I tried outlining, and for me, it didn't work. I gave it a shot, but I just couldn't do it. I kept going off track. So for me, I do the pants, and it's working for me. And what I like about that is because I have no idea how the book's going to end. So it gets me to write because I want to know how it ends.
Exactly. I've heard writers describe when you pants that it's like driving in the fog. You can only see 3 feet ahead of you, and so you need to keep going to find out where you're going.
Exactly. I'm on a chapter right now, and I'm kind of stumped a little bit. And what I do when that happens is I just kind of walk away. I'll take maybe a day and a half break, and then all of a sudden, poof, okay, I'm ready. So that will work for me. With Goodbye Orchids, what inspired it? What inspired the story, the book, the characters? Give us a little background.
There's a long answer and a short answer to this. And I'll first share the short answer, which is that Goodbye Orchid was inspired by combat wounded veterans. The longer version, which might be of interest, especially I think some of the people on the call may have read Goodbye Orchid and know that Phoenix and Orchid are not military personnel, although they do meet each other because they're working on a pro bono advertising campaign to help military personnel.
Okay.
The reason I say the story is inspired by combat wounded veterans is that the arc of Phoenix's journey, Phoenix Walker is a really successful entrepreneur and business person. He suffers an accident that changes everything. It's actually the precipitating act that changes how he thinks about himself, how he thinks about his relationship with Orchid, and causes him to feel that he's faced with the hardest decision of his life. Whether to love Orchid, he needs to leave her.
Oh, wow.
Which has to do with her background as well. It is a heartwarming but heart-wrenching story. And readers
very emotional and heavy. Very.
Readers say bring tissues.
Oh, now, was this inspired by anything of actual real life or someone you knew, or?
It was inspired by a news story. So it wasn't somebody I actually knew, but it was during a time where I was looking for inspiration myself because we were going through a hard time with one of my twins. And I saw these stories in the news of these men and women who go off to war to fight for our freedom at the top of their games. And then when they're combat wounded, they fall so far. But what was inspiring about that was the resilience and, grit that they really demonstrate to get back to good. Wow. That was incredibly inspiring, and that's what's captured on the pages of Goodbye Orchid in Phoenix's arc, in Phoenix's journey, and then how that relates to Phoenix and Orchid's relationship. Because she has had a traumatic past as well, and because of trauma she'd seen as a child, and he knows about this, he feels quite protective of her. And that's why he feels at this quandary when he wakes in the hospital, finds that he's forever changed, and feels he can't be the man that he needs to be for Orchid.
Wow. It's on my list to read. I really want to read your story or the book. So here's the question I was going to ask, and we got it right here. Carolyn says, what do you want readers to take away from your novels?
So, I have found through meeting with readers in book clubs and in bookstores and all types of venues that people take different things from Goodbye Orchid, and that is wonderful. I actually think there are many things that can be taken. I will say that when I started writing Goodbye Orchid, what inspired me and what I hoped to accomplish was to inspire hope and empathy. And I'd say those are actually two different concepts. One, hope for people who are going through challenges, who may have experienced medical problems, accidents. The question that Goodbye Orchid asks is, can love blossom after life changes in an instant? And so for people who are going through something really big and heady, I do, it's really heartening to me when they tell me that it can inspire hope. I've had readers tell me that they've suffered medical problems for years, some of them, and that after reading Goodbye Orchid, they actually feel more optimistic about their own outcome, which is lovely. And then the empathy side is actually, I also have readers tell me that they've never experienced anything like Phoenix has experienced. They've never experienced what combat wounded veterans might have experienced. But yet, when they read about Phoenix's journey and how he and Orchid work things out, and also there's a whole cast of characters. There's Phoenix's twin, Caleb. There's Phoenix and Caleb's mother, Veronica, who all play a role in what happens in the story. And when they read that, it actually deepens their empathy for what somebody who might be dealing with a big life, altering change would be going through. And that's also incredibly heartwarming for me to hear.
I like it. I do. And is this a standalone Wild Orchid, or is it a sequel?
So Goodbye Orchid is a standalone novel, can be read as a standalone novel. What I've heard, because many readers have reached out to tell me how Goodbye Orchid has really touched them and they want more of Phoenix and Orchid's story. And then they also sometimes are hashtag Team Caleb and want to hear more about Phoenix's twin brother, who is the tattooed bad boy of the family. And so there is more to come in Phoenix and Orchid's world. And so although Goodbye Orchid was written as a standalone, there will be more in this world to come.
I think that happens a lot. We think we're going to write one book, and then all of a sudden, well, wait a minute. That's how my debut started. Reckless Beginnings was my debut. It came out in 2018, and I was supposed to just write the one story. And now here I am, 3 books later, in the same character, same series, but The Reunions is the final book in the trilogy, so we're good. but I hear a lot. Yeah, it's supposed to be one book. So you're working on book 2 right now. Do you have a release date for that, or any title, or anything you can talk about?
I do not have a specific release
Okay.
date. I do believe it can come out in 2021. And it's actually the prequel because,
Okay.
yes, a lot of readers were really interested in hearing what happens before page 1, before chapter 1, in which the opening line is, Phoenix never believed today was goodbye, because he's brought Orchid. He's brought Orchid to the airport. She's going on a 6-week business trip, and he thinks he'll see her in 6 weeks. But as we know in fiction, not everything that the characters think will actually come true. And so the readers are very curious about what happened to lead up to that moment. And that's what I'm working on now.
Wonderful. Do you have a daily writing schedule? Do you have to write every day? Is this your full-time career? Do you do something else besides writing?
I'm laughing a little bit because although it sounds like a wonderful life to be able to write daily, and Tina, you have to share with me your joy in being able to do that, I do not have that luxury.
Me neither.
Okay. I have many hats. And so I'll say, first there's my corporate life where I spent the day to day. I work full-time as a strategist for Mars Incorporated, which is famous for its candy brands, but also it's the biggest pet care company in the world, and also a food company.
Oh, I didn't know it did pet care.
Yeah, absolutely. Famous brands like Pedigree and Whiskas and Sheba and Royal Canin and IM. It's a wonderful company that truly believes in a better world for pets. As well, the Mars Wrigley brands are so fun. I've had a long career in marketing and now strategy. And in marketing, I've had the chance to run brands like M&M's and Twix, where I launched Twix peanut butter and worked on Three Musketeers and Milky Way. And I worked on Dove chocolate in the US and in China. So it's been a really fun, amazing career. And so that keeps me quite busy, I have to say, currently working on digital transformation as well as finance for sustainable tomorrow.
You're a busy lady because I see you everywhere promoting your book too.
Yes, I have to say it's been really busy actually trying to get the word out and have more readers find, this work of my heart. And not because not for my ego, not for praise, but really because I believe the book can do good in the world. Mm-hmm. What my publisher said, John Kohler, when he gave me the contract for Goodbye Orchid, he said, I am signing you to Kohler Books because I believe you will make a difference in lives with this story. And so it was, and that's why I'm working so hard to get the word out.
I think it's wonderful. And what I also like too is that a percentage of the proceeds from the book you are donating, correct? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, because I want the book to do good in the world. And because it's inspired by combat wounded veterans, there are 2 charities that are benefiting from Goodbye Orchid. One is Heather Abbott Foundation, and she's a sensitivity reader who read Goodbye Orchid and helped me with it as well. And then the second is USA Cares. USA Cares is an organization that helps military veterans and their families when they're in their most dire financial straits. And they're just an incredible organization. The CEO, Trace Chesser, had loved the work, really appreciated it, left a 5-star review, is so happy to support it. And he and I really connect well. Also, he invited me to be part of the board of directors for USA Cares. And unfortunately, I'm a bit too busy to say yes at this moment. I serve on the board of directors for a special needs school. So I'm already volunteering, giving back. And then I also speak. I speak at writers' conferences. I usually try to share marketing and strategy concepts with writers. So Tina, you and I ever cross paths at a conference. I would love that. I talk about.
I would love it too. Let me know where you are, and I'll try and be there too. I'd love it. I would love it.
Yeah, it's on my website, so feel free to check it out.
I will check it out for sure. When you're not writing, so you must write what, at nighttime? When do you find time to
Yes. I do. I write And I write best when I first wake up. You might find this too. That's a really magical moment for me where I'm still in a bit of a dreamland. My conscious and rational mind isn't as strong as my creative mind. And I also write really well late at night. And those are the only 2 free times I have.
You also have twins?
I do. My twins are 17.
Yeah. How old are they?
17-year-old twins who are high school seniors, and therefore college is on all of our minds. One already got into his early decision school, so he
17?
is set.
You don't look old enough to have 17-year-olds.
You're too kind. It must be the ring light. Now I'm gonna leave an Amazon review for my ring light.
So they are graduating 2021 graduates this year?
They are.
How exciting. And I'm sorry, you said one has already chosen college, university?
One is all set, and then the other one needs to wait to hear back from schools. And many schools got more applications than normal because they made tests optional. Some schools got 30 or 40% more applications than normal. And so they had to push out the date when they're going to let the kids know. So we might not know until the first week of April.
Oh, I'm so excited. And I'm sure this last year with COVID has been so stressful for them too.
It is. I know, and not just for us, obviously for everyone. And I hope everyone is healthy and well and everyone's loved ones are well. I do have to say we are quite fortunate that I've been able to work remotely, work from home. The kids were virtual learning for a while, and now they're back in school. So all of that, I think everyone's just doing the best they can. Yeah, I certainly see light at the end of the tunnel.
I know. We're getting there slowly. We are. So if you have any hobbies when you're not writing or working or taking care of the teenagers, what are some of your hobbies?
I can talk about 2 things that I love. One is I absolutely love dance. So take me to a Zumba class and I will be happy. I am definitely missing the in-person Zumba. Doing it in my office gives me too many excuses to cheat, to be like, oh, I think I need a water break. Then the second one is, I don't know if I mentioned when I described my personal purpose to inspire hope and empathy, actually is in people and in planet. So I have a huge passion for sustainability. And last year I trained as a climate reality leader, and I speak on that topic also. I just spoke at our local library about climate reality, and I trained in economics and mutuality last year, which has to do with how to look at the entire ecosystem so that it's really fair across everything, and that we value the natural resources as much as we value pure financials on a P&L.
Right. Wow. We have a few more questions here. I do want to just browse through you, and because I like to try and get as many questions as I can. Here's one from Lisa Murray. It's quite a long one, but I'm going to put it up on the screen.
I love that. I think it's such a great idea, Lisa. Thank you. You're quite creative, and I haven't actually. And if you have ideas on how to connect me with military bases or military wives,
that's a great idea.
Please reach out. I love it. Yeah,
I think that's a brilliant idea. I've watched a few of them. In fact, you did one in my group where you have guests from the military, and I think that is brilliant.
Oh my gosh,
brilliant!
It touches me so much. I had the opportunity around Veterans Day to interview. The weekend before Veterans Day, I interviewed Sergeant Brian Anderson, and the weekend after, I interviewed Purple Heart and Bronze Star of Valor decorated combat wounded veteran Doc Jacobs. The perspective they're able to share is so amazing. Their resilience, their positivity in life, the way in which they so generously give to our country and continue to do so without concern for their personal welfare, being willing to put everything on the line. And it is.
Do you have any family in the military or any ancestors or parents that were in the military?
I don't, but I do feel this really strong connection.
You really do. And the fact that you wrote a story around it too. My father-in-law, he was in the Navy, World War II. I hope it's World War II.
That would make sense.
I have to put Grace Ann up. She lives in the UK, and she is my cousin. So I wanted her to get a little bit of a recognition here. She's in the UK. She's actually in the UK right now. It is
1:30 in the morning.
Yeah. So hi, Grace. Miss you. Love you.
Oh, are you up, Grace? Oh my goodness. Yeah, hopefully you can sleep in tomorrow.
I know, but I did want to let her know that I saw her here. So that was really special. She stayed up to see us both. Let me see. I saw some more questions. Let me know if you see any. I wanted to just scroll down real quick. Hold on a second. I saw one.
Do I have pets? I have a rescue cat.
That's good. I like that.
Yes.
I like that.
She's Siberian, which makes her hypoallergenic, which is great. One of my sons is allergic to cats, and I'm allergic to cats. So
no dogs.
No dogs.
No.
Yeah.
I have dogs.
He or she made sure that we all knew.
Oh yeah. Normally I have the doggy door on, but I forgot. Anyways. Okay, back to the book. So you're writing the prequel, and then after the prequel, are we going to talk further down the road with another novel?
Yes, so I'm really envisioning 3 stories in the end, just like your trio that you were describing. So
and
right now,
it'll have the same characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes, there's a lot of love for some of the characters in Goodbye Orchid, and so people are asking to hear more about Phoenix's twin Caleb and Caleb's ex-girlfriend Sasha. Red latex wrapped Sasha is just a firecracker, so people really love her as well. So more to come.
And have you always wanted to write a book? Is it something that you just always wanted to do? I mean, do you always love to write prior to printing your book, publishing your book? Was it a hobby or an interest that, just had to be born?
It's such a great question. And I bet, Tina, you'll be able to relate to some pieces of this because I know so many writers start out as readers. And that was the case for me as well. I think I learned to read by the time I was 4. And when my parents would ask me where I wanted to go, other kids might say the playground. I would always say the library. I always wanted them to take me to the library.
Totally, yeah.
So I grew up reading and loving the written word and being lost in story. And I would write as a kid, as a teenager. And so when I was my boy's age, a high school senior, 17 years old, ready to go to college, I said I was going to be an English major. This seemed so clear to me. However, my nice traditional Chinese family sat me down and they said, well, that's a really interesting idea. And you happen to be very good at math and science. Chinese stereotypes, sorry.
Oh, okay.
So they said, why don't you just try for a year? Just try math or science or an engineering major. And we can talk again. If you really hate it, we can talk again in a year. And I thought that sounded like a reasonable plan. It wasn't, forcing me. It wasn't saying that I definitely couldn't be an English major. I still could finish an English major in the 3 years that we left. So I signed up as an engineering major. I showed up freshman year, and all of the engineering majors have a fairly strict schedule. Everyone has to take physics and chemistry and calculus. There's a regimented schedule. And they put us all together in freshman year in this big lecture hall. And they give us the speech. This is so cliche. I can't believe I'm about to say this. They give us that speech. Look to your left, look to your right. In 4 years, only one of you is going to be left. The rest of you are going to fail out, flunk out. You can't make it. And I got so mad. I'm competitive. I don't know if you can tell at all from all the things I have going on in my life. I'm quite competitive. So I'm like, I'm not going to be the one to fail out, flunk out. I can do this. And so 4 years later, I walked down the aisle with my engineering degree. And the only thing those 2 things have in common, English and engineering, are the first 3 letters of each of their words.
That's it. Well, good for you. You like a challenge.
I do.
I
do, actually. And I was good at engineering, and I do love math and science. So it wasn't they weren't asking me to do something that was completely impossible or out of my capability. And I've been really happy with the career I've had from that. So it's totally fine. But now publishing, to answer your question, is like truly coming full circle and truly a dream come true. Given where I started as that young 17-year-old who wanted to be the English major, who wanted to write.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought I'd write when I was retired or later in life. And at one point it just struck me, why wait? I can write now.
Do it now.
And that,
do it now.
Yeah.
And how long did it take you to write Wild Orchid before it went publication?
It was about a solid year of writing.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, a solid year of editing. And the editing wasn't just myself. It was with an editor, with an agent, with, input from many places. So I'd say that was the core of it. But now that I've written a full novel, I see what the beats and the cadence are and how to think about the structure. And so it will certainly speed up my process.
Yeah, well, it's a learning curve. I mean, 6 books later and I'm still learning. I don't think it'll ever end. And then when you figure something out, hey, they change it on you.
Like what?
Well, like Facebook, with the posting or the rules and the regulations, things like that. Or if you use Facebook ads, they're changing all the time.
Okay, so the marketing.
Yeah, 1 week you can do this, 1 week you can do this. Oh, you can't do that this week now. So they're constantly changing their rules. The price structure is up and down. You think it's an art for the ads on Facebook and Amazon too. Do you do the ads on Amazon or Facebook?
I do have, a couple of automated ads, but not much. And I just, kind of let them run, but not as much as I could.
Yeah, they're not. They make it, I think they just want to mess with us and make it just difficult. I really do. Being your first book, a debut novel, I don't ask this a lot, but is there something that you've done with your debut novel that you wish you hadn't done, or you realize that it wasn't the right thing to do, that you won't do with your next book?
Let me think if I can think of anything. Perhaps, and if I think of something, I'll tell you. Mm-hmm. But I think on the flip side, one thing I found interesting was that things I didn't know I was doing actually played out in the story. And then readers, once they experienced Goodbye Orchid, were able to hold up a mirror to me and say, this is, amazing that there's these multiple points of view. It adds this depth and richness to the story. And so it's more the flip side, which is perhaps things that were just experimentation or what felt natural to me, seemed like they were working out and might be things that I want to consider keeping. Some readers also love the short chapters. It seems to marry up with the lives that we're living, which tend to be quite busy and fragmented.
For me, I write short chapters because I love a book with short chapters. That's just one of my preferences. I mean, not to say that the book is not good if it has long chapters, but I find myself, because my reading time is limited. So I'll find, okay, I've got 10 minutes to read a couple of chapters. But if the chapters are 20 pages long, I don't have 10 minutes to read it. And I cannot finish a book. I mean, I cannot stop a book in the middle of a chapter. I just can't do it. So if I look at my watch, okay, I've got 10 minutes to read a book, and then the book has 20-page chapters, well, shoot. So I love short chapters. So that's good to know with your book that it's short chapters.
Yes. I keep hearing from readers that Goodbye Orchid is quite a page turner. And so what happens is they think, well, I'll just read this one short chapter. And then they're like, well, I don't want to stop there. Yeah. I need to find out what happens. So now let me read the next short chapter. It's only a short chapter. And then they keep going.
That's the other thing too, and I'll tend to do too. And being your debut novel, you have won a lot of awards. So congratulations. Tell us a little bit about the awards, and, I think it's fantastic.
It's been such a lovely ride. And I still can't believe it in some ways. It started with the American Fiction Award. Okay. Let me know that I won their annual award for, I don't want to mess it up, urban fiction. Yes. So American Fiction Award awarded Goodbye Orchid for urban fiction because it's set in Manhattan. So it's set in an urban setting.
Okay.
And then that same week, I heard from Pinnacle Awards that Goodbye Orchid won for multicultural fiction because Phoenix is Caucasian and Orchid is half Asian. And so it's a multicultural or interracial romance or love story or story.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I'm trying to remember if I'd heard from New York Book Festival next. I do remember the Ian Award was really exciting because that was for outstanding fiction for best first novel. So that one was very exciting. And then there were other exciting ones too. Right now, the Chanticleer International Awards has long listed Goodbye Orchid. And so we'll have to wait till April to find out if it's a winner or not. There's about a dozen books in the long list. The other ones that were really exciting was Royal Dragonfly awarded Goodbye Orchid for the cover design, which we discussed, as well as for disability awareness, which is really touching.
That's fantastic.
And then the audiobook won the Audiobook Reviewer New Author of the Year Award. That one was really exciting because I had never narrated a book myself before. And now that I've been through the process, I have so much respect for book narrators. It is a performance.
So, I'm sorry, the audiobook of Wild Orchid you narrated? Really? I had no idea.
It was fun. It was really great. A great learning experience. I loved it.
Well,
to live with the characters again.
You have a great voice. You speak clear. You speak slow, which I really love. How long did it take to do the audio?
I had to get up the learning curve. So Tina, it literally took me about 4 months from start to end because I had to first figure out the technology, how to, get the right, a high enough level mic to capture high quality sound. Because I'm the type of person you might already sense. If I'm going to do something, I'm not going to do it halfway. I need to do it right. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So just working out the technology took a while, and studios really weren't open during COVID, or if they were, I'm not sure I was that comfortable going.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to record it at home, which meant that we had to set up my walk-in closet to have soundproofing all around it to be my recording studio.
Oh, wow.
So yes, and this is really common for people to be recording in their walk-in closets. And then after that, it was recording and then working with an editor to really capture the pieces that were right to shape it. Yeah, it was quite a process, and I'm so proud.
How long, of course you didn't read the whole book in one sitting. How long were your sittings when you, this is fascinates me for some reason, but I think it's great. I don't normally hear of an author narrating her own book. I think you're the first. So I'm really impressed.
Yeah, there are all types of techniques, it turns out. I researched this. And so there's breathing techniques. And it's actually about breathing with your belly gives you that richness of the timbre of your voice. And then also how long you can read. Your voice does get tired. My voice gets tired.
That's what I was asking, how long the sessions were. I'll do a live read, and I can only read at the most a couple of chapters, and my mouth is so dry. And
there's all types of tips. So some narrators use sour apples to keep their mouths wet. I didn't do that, but I read about that. I think the longest I could go, usually I would try to go an hour and a half. I could do an hour and maybe even 2 hours. If I was on a roll. Sometimes you're so immersed in the story that you want to keep going because you're just in the flow.
I would think, I'm no expert, but after 20 minutes of reading, my voice will sound tired, or my words will begin to slur, or I'm, doing this.
Yeah. If I was hungry, okay, so time of day does matter. And some narrators will only narrate at the same time of day each time to keep the consistency. Your voice sounds different in the morning. You might have a little bit of that croakiness or foggy.
Really?
versus the end
okay.
of the day. I might be tired at the end of the day. And so, yes, consistency of time is one thing that narrators do. But interestingly enough, one of the challenges I found was external noise. If an airplane was going overhead, I had to stop the recording. And when I was recording from end of August was really when I started, and it was done and published on Audible in December.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of the early times when I was recording, it was in the summertime. And I have to say that lawnmowers and then leaf blowers became the bane of my existence. I would start to, I try to be a fairly patient person and really, let people be. But the leaf blowers, I was like, get your rake out. Never mind. Why do you need a blower? I was beside myself because I'd be in one of those flow moments, and then the leaf blowers would start up.
And it took you how long to record the whole book?
So, there was probably an intense, honestly, between that time, the most intense period was probably 6 or 8 weeks of every weekend because I worked full time during the day. So
right,
mostly concentrated on the weekends. And so, yes, it was on the weekends. The book is, the finished product is 7.5 hours of finished reading.
7.5 hours of listening time.
Yes.
Well, now I want to get the audio just to hear you. I think that's brilliant. I really do. I don't know if I could ever do it. I don't know.
It's a fun experience because you really get this depth with your characters. And sometimes I find, I don't know if you do, Tina, when you edit, do you read aloud? Because
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Helps with dialogue and the transitions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll do a quiet read through, and then I'll read aloud. And it's amazing what you can pick up when you read aloud.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. For writers out there that, they don't have a book published, they want to be an author, they're maybe working on a book, what kind of advice do you have for a writer, a wannabe, or thriving writer?
I'm often asked this question on podcasts. And as part of launching Goodbye Orchid, I was on a number of podcasts. And, I work as a strategist. And so my answer will first start with the conceptual. And then if there are concrete questions that people have, please feel free to ask. I actually advise writers to start with their personal why, their inspiring purpose, to ask themselves what's the reason for their writing beyond the obvious profit and functional purposes. And that's how I got to my deeper why. And so when, you are asking me and readers are asking me, what do I want people to take out of the book? I'm able to articulate that because I did give it thought. And so those words I chose were really quite meaningful for me. And actually the full sentiment is, by being my authentic self, I aim to inspire hope and empathy in people and planet. And I think that having clarity of what you're trying to achieve can be helpful in a number of ways. It helps me choose what to do and what not to do. It becomes a way to test what is right for me, what's going to be consistent with my beliefs. And so I find that very powerful. I know that's quite conceptual. Sometimes writers are really asking, well, how do I find my readers, or what do I do in terms of marketing? And I have classes in that too, but my most foundational classes that I teach at writers' conferences have to do with one, author brand, and then second, visual identity. And then I also do talk about crafting marketing plans, but by starting with strategies first before jumping to tactics, and then also marketing mindset.
Good answer. I like that. I'm sure your classes are very informative. Are your classes in person, correct? Do you do online classes too, or just? Right
now, everything's online.
Oh, damn.
Yes, it used to be in person, and I miss them. But actually, I've gotten quite used to online, and I wonder if you feel this way as well, where although we're separated by miles and we're here on a computer screen together, I feel like I'm with you.
Oh, I do too. Technology is amazing how it's brought people together, especially during COVID.
Yeah.
You have children 17 that almost graduated, but I have an issue with the kids not going to school, doing online learning. I don't know, especially I have grandsons. One's 5 and one is 9. And the 5-year-old, it was supposed to be his first year of school last year.
Oh, so hard.
To school yet.
Mm-hmm.
And it tears at my heart that he's losing out on that experience of first year at school.
Well, he'll have time. I mean, he's young and kids are so resilient. But you're right. The socialization is a really important part of going to school. It's not just about the academics. It's not just about studying. It's learning to get along with other kids.
I remember my first day at school. I mean, I do. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably bothers me more than it bothers him.
That's how I feel about the college waiting process. I feel like I'm more anxious to find out what the colleges have to say than my son is.
Yeah. I swear we take things more seriously, and these kids are just like, it's no big deal. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
I would like to have you hold the book up again for any latecomers. And I'm going to read the description because we did talk a little bit about it earlier. But for the latecomers, we got a lot of people. I just want to say hi to some people, too, that are here that I didn't see earlier. Like Bambi is here, Lori, Ruth Benson in Peculiar. I love where she lives. The name of the town where she lives is Peculiar, Missouri. I just love the name of her town. And I think I say it every time I see her here. Raina is here. All right. So I want to read the description. I'm going to read it off my phone. And I'm going to let you hold that up because you did briefly describe the book earlier. But for any of those latecomers that come in. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. My phone was also.
I see your comment, Carol. Thank you. She says, gorgeous cover.
Oh, yes.
Thanks for all the lovely comments. This is such an active group. You have the best group, Tina.
I do. I love my readers. Actually, they're a bad influence because I'm supposed to be writing and I'm in there chit-chatting with them. So if my book is not on time, it is all your fault, people. I'm going to blame it on the readers. All right. So this is the description written on Amazon. Oh, and one thing I like, too, is at the very top of the description that Wild Orchid was one of the most anticipated 2020 fall reads from BuzzFeed. Yeah,
BuzzFeed, Parade, Travel and Leisure. I mean, I can't even remember all the.
That's fantastic. Media. For a debut novel, you really soared with this one. Okay, so on July morning. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me start over. Can love blossom after life changes in an instant? One July morning in Manhattan, handsome athlete and entrepreneur Phoenix Walker accompanies his love half-Asian beauty, Orchid, to the airport. Neither believes today is goodbye. I love that line. But after she leaves, disaster strikes. Phoenix wakes in the hospital, broken, forever changed. He longs for Orchid, but remembers the tragedy in her past that makes her panic over images of trauma. Now he's faced with the hardest decision of his life. Does he burden the woman whose traumatic childhood makes him feel protective of her? Or does true love mean leaving her without explaining why? Wow. That's heavy.
Well, I mean, and it has an emotionally satisfying ending. So yes, it is going to go to some very real places. And people comment on the authenticity of the storytelling as well as the emotional roller coaster. Susan Cushman likened it to a modern day affair to remember. Karen Tanabe said it's a modern important take on the power of love.
Wow.
And I think some of the comments I'm so touched by are from combat wounded veterans who say they've read Goodbye Orchid. And Dr. Jacobs, for instance, said not only does it remind him of his own experience being injured in Iraq, in active duty, but also it deepened his own understanding of his experience because he had never thought about how it felt to be his dad or his Jima, his grandma, who were at his bedside for 13 months at Walter Reed. But after reading about Caleb's experience and Veronica's experience and all these different points of view, he had that increased understanding of his own experience and rethought about what it must have been like for them. So those are truly incredible when I hear from combat wounded veterans about how they feel about Goodbye Orchid.
I've read some of the reviews and they're beautiful. You've got some really fantastic reviews, and I'm definitely going to be reading it soon. I am, for sure. I will. I can't wait.
You.
Before we, can you believe we only have 10 minutes left? These hours go so quick. If you have any last minute questions for Carol, now is the time to ask them. She will be doing a giveaway. Annette's here. Hey, Annette. I'm not sure if you know Annette Glan. She's got a book coming out next month too. This month.
Annette, feel free to post it in the Goodbye Orchid book club group. Yes, it's great to see Annette.
Yes. So, yes, tell us about the giveaway. You're doing a giveaway?
So I am so happy to be able to gift an ebook or an audiobook to one of the lovely readers here. I've seen all of the beautiful comments, so definitely if you want to enter, please put your name in the comments and we'll just randomly choose a name to win an audiobook or ebook. And if you don't win, it's not that expensive. In fact, right now, for whatever crazy Amazon algorithm reason, hardcover, I just went on Amazon sometimes I like to see if I've gotten reviews, and the hardcover right now is on sale for less than $7. I have no idea. Yes. I'm holding a hardcover right here in my hands.
Oh, wow.
Less than $7. And if you Prime, it's free shipping. And then I would say it is nice to have the physical copy, the paperback or the hardcover, because I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on camera, but the bottom right corner of every page has orchids. And so when you flip through, I can't do it.
Yeah, I've seen the video on, I think it's your page or somewhere. I think it's fantastic.
The orchids shatter and then they come back together. And so people really love having the paperback or hardcover. And so for less than $7, if you just ordered. I have no idea why Amazon made it so cheap right now.
It did that to my books. It's a paperback, wasn't a hardback. It was Claire from my other series. And they had it for $5.12. And I'm like, what? Of course, I was like everywhere. Hey, guys.
It's just a deal right now.
When Amazon does that, I don't know if you do the same thing, but I'll mention if you buy it, I'll send you a signed, book plate.
Yes, I have that as well. I have book plates, I have bookmarks. So if anyone wants to send me their receipt or just, message me and ask me for that, I'm happy to send that as well. There you go.
And they can just stick it right there in that book. I love it. So with the giveaway, I'm going to leave it up to you when, you want to announce the winner. It's entirely up to you. You can do it tonight. You can do it tomorrow. I'll leave it up to you. But yes, make sure you do go to both lives in the Facebook group and on my author page, because we get the feed all fed into here, but on Facebook it's divided. So make sure you get all the readers in when you pick them. But I really enjoyed talking to you. This is just fantastic. I've been wanting to talk to you. We chit chat, back and forth online and stuff, but to actually talk to you and get to know you more and more about the background. I love finding the background of books, and how it originated and started and what inspired it. It just adds so much more to the book. It really does.
Tina, it means so much to me to be here with you. I think you're an amazing human being. You are so generous and you lift up and support and help other authors, and then you share your own work, and I'm just thrilled to be here with you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I love the book community. I love the people, the readers, the authors. And when I wrote a message in my reunions, the last book, I wrote, a letter from the author. And one of the things that I love about this community is that we're not in competition. I don't feel like we're in competition.
Right.
The support in the community is just unbelievable. And, we might write in the same genres. We might have books coming out in the same month. But I find that it's not a race to get the readers. It's let's group together and get the readers, or let's, join up and show the readers what we've been working on. And the readers are really supportive. And I say this over and over again, you know, you do them too. We do takeovers. We go to different groups. We talk about our books. And it's the same books. You know, I've written 6 books. There's no more of the books I'm going to talk about. And yet these readers will follow us from group to group, and they know what the book's about. They probably read the book, or they, you know, and but they support us by going to these groups and showing their support. And I think that's fantastic.
There's research that shows the place that lights up in a writer's brain when they're writing a scene and feeling emotion is actually the same place that lights up in a reader's brain when they're reading that same scene. And so in some ways, a book is the closest you can get to a brain-to-brain connection. And perhaps that's why we feel such kinship. We as authors with readers and readers with authors.
That could be. I like that. Really, yeah, I never looked at it that way, but that makes a lot of sense. It does. Well, our time is almost up. I do want to mention to you too, when we're done, if you go into the comments and leave the links where readers can find you, like your website, where they can find your book at $7, guys.
I think it's like $6.86 or something like that. It's so cheap.
Amazon after we're done, seriously. And then I'll hit you up for a book plate. I will.
For sure. Definitely.
But no, it's been really great. I really enjoyed this chat. I loved having you. And when the prequel comes out or is coming out, let us know. We'll have you back.
I would love that. And I'll put the links in the chat to be able to first vote in Author Shout. The Cover Wars contest is happening for Goodbye Orchid this week. So you can vote every 24 hours. And then secondly, there's a bookstore event coming up on March 18th. The bookstore is called Bookworm in Powder Springs, Georgia. So that's a free event. Feel free to join for that as well. And then third, I just would give a shout out on behalf of all authors. Tina, myself, Annette is on, and I'm sure there are multiple authors on right now, to, you know, thank everyone for being readers of our work.
Yes.
And also to help other readers find our work. We certainly appreciate when you tell your friends about work that you love, and also when you leave a rating or a review.
You're exactly right. And I have one last question for you. It just popped in my head because you were talking about readers. You're in marketing. Would you say still that the best form of marketing is word of mouth? Do you still swear by that? Do you think it is?
So, of course, there's all stages of a marketing funnel, from, you know, awareness to wanting to act and try a book and then to actually read it. And the ultimate compliment really is getting loyalty. So after somebody's aware of your work, actually reads it, loves it so much that they're willing to tell other people, is probably the greatest praise that you can give an author's work. And so, of course, that's the strongest form, and truly lovely to be able to get word of mouth. Although all those other things are important too, along the funnel.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Carol. I really, really enjoyed it. I've had a fantastic time. And everybody that's here, thank you, guys. And we shall see you soon. Good night, everybody. Thank you for being with us. Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.